are live. I've been trying to do some things to get my audio a little bit better, less noisy and hum and all that. So this may be a work in progress. I do not like noise gates. It's like I just can't get it quite right for sustain. You hear? I'll make a small adjustment. It's gonna drive me crazy. Thing about noise gates, they cut out the noise, but you know, if you're trying to be dynamic, some of your playing is quiet, especially like sustaining a note. That's better. It's tough being a pretend guitar player that plays in his bedroom. Those guys that are real guitar players, that have to control their sound in gigs at different venues and whatnot. You don't have to go through what I go through. So what's up in the week of guitar? Typical. Some cool stuff came out. some stuff came out that made you look at it, but would have been cool to have. But I would absolutely have no use for. I think I got some good practice time in this week, so that's good. For some reason, practice early in the morning. It's not the easy way. You gotta wake up earlier than you would normally have to. But I don't do well I've frozen. I don't know if I dropped out on y'all's end, but my screen froze. Like I said, that's something, being a pretend guitar player in your bedroom, you got to deal with. It's tough. That's all right. Push through. Yeah, my week was fairly conducive to being able to practice. with no metronome. Cheating. How long is a measure? It's as long as I want it to be. I didn't know streaming today was going to happen, fellas. Saturday was busier than intended. There's something I thought about that I could show real quick. Hey, thanks, man. You know, I'm not highly skilled at the streaming thing. Trying to teach myself to monitor chat. But anyway, thank you for watching. I was on a thread, and in case anybody has any doubt, I'm a Shameless, the Gear Page poster, and for some reason this week I've been typing like long Dear Diary posts and everything. I usually just read and learn, but I don't know. I was had active fingers this week. But I posted on a thread today. It was a discussion about the OP, as they say, was looking for the amp to get what I call the kind of smooth liquid lead tone. All right, let me bump this mic up. Let's see. Let's see if that's any better. I bet my guitar's loud as all get out. Hopefully that level's a little better. But the guy had bought, he had a laundry list of amps I would love to have. And he was looking for that kind of fusion-y, smooth liquid lead tone. You know, I'm always going to think of Alan Holdsworth and, you know, I'll throw Eric Johnson in there, even though he's not really a fusion player, but he has that 1,000-pound violin tone that has some similar characteristics, some different. But anyway, make a long story short, dude had spent a lot of money on some really nice amps, and he felt like he just wasn't quite getting there with any of them. And I made the suggestion of trying SD9 pedal, you know, my Maxon SD9 or a Ibanez SD9. I think they've been made by both companies. Scott Henderson, Michael Landau, they've used them for years. They both got their own kind of boutique takes on it now. But good old SD9, you know, you can get one used on Reverb and it does it. But the trick is tone knob all the way down, and you usually inch it up just a little bit to taste. But once you get past 9 o'clock and on up toward noon, it goes from a really pedal having one really great sound to not that great sounding of a pedal. So what I was just using, I've been using a little more high end. It's not the TS9, not the Tube Screamer. It's the SD9. It's like Sonic Distortion 9. The confusing thing, it's green like a Tube Screamer. So if you see it from a distance, it does look like a Tube Screamer. But it's a Sonic Distortion 9. Most of them you see are Maxons. But just for instance, the tone I was just using has a little more high end than what I usually go for. But we're kind of here. Which that's pretty liquidy. But that was actually a rat, believe it or not. I've seen some really good guys. I don't know if you've heard of Charles Altura, but he definitely can do the Holsworth thing, and he's not just cloning him. Here, I'll type the fellow in real quick. And I saw him live several years ago. He was playing with Terrence Blanchard, who was the band leader, and he's a trumpet player. But they were definitely doing a really intense, more fusion type of a set. It was awesome. And I saw on Charles Altura's board, he was using a 335 and a rat was how he was getting it, which I could see that. Even, the Strat's going to be not as thick. That's the rat. Here's the SD9. Lot thicker. Similar. It's funny, you got different dirt pedals on your board, and you wind up dialing them all in to sound similar. So that is and my tone knob on the SD9 is turned almost all the way down. The SD9 does not have a lot of cleanup with the volume knob. It does. You can, definitely increase your saturation of distortion. Yeah, I don't know circuit wise how similar it is to the TS9. I mean, really, there are guys, if you want to hear a fusion player with really great legato that can kind of get in the Holsworth ballpark, look up Alex Steele on YouTube. He uses a tube screamer, a basic TS9 or a variant. And I'm pretty sure he's dialing back the tone knob on it and the probably, when he plays his bridge pickup, he's dialing some tone knob back on it, and he gets, I mean, he sounds great. He's getting the sound with just a tube screamer, TS9 type circuit. The thing about the SD9, it does not have a low end cut. It leaves your bass in, whereas a tube screamer and the Rat that I was using before take away that some of your low end. I've seen some of those modded Analog Man ones, and like I think he can put a knob that even dials in the mids on the SD9, which I think that would really be the magic touch. It's a thick sounding circuit. I mean, I almost wouldn't use that for a rhythm tone just because of that. And you know, I'm a dude playing in the bedroom, so I'm talking about it leaves in my low end. But would that be something live that may make that tone less likely to cut through? That may be something to think about. Fake Eric Johnson. Yeah, man, it's a I call it the cheat code for liquid fusion tone. And I think Analog Man, what he's done as far as his mods, the little bit I've read about him, make a good circuit even better. I want to say I've even seen him put the Bad Bob boost in a SD9 where it's got like the regular switch, the old Ibanez tube screamer looking switch, and then you have a another pedal switch that what are they called? 3-pole triple throw pedal button switch that you see on most pedals. And I can't remember. I'm wanting to say he can add that to the TS9. I know he has it to other stuff, but he may even make it he may be able to make it true bypass, because it runs with a buffer. But that, you know, that's a good liquid, heavy single note sound. But I don't know that I would use it for much more than that, and it's limited because, you know, a lot of your dirt, like if I'm using the Rat for instance, of course it's going to be brighter. But I can just roll my tone knob back. And you know, it's perfectly serviceable dirty rhythm tone. it's not really known to be a cleanup type pedal, but it cleans up better than the SD9. That's the Rat. Here's the SD9. The only thing missing is my playing. Yeah, you're exactly right. I think both the Rat and the SD9 have hard clipping. I know the Rat does. And amp wise, my kind of bass, I'll turn off, is so if I'm using tubes, I had the Synergy Bogner Ecstasy, and bass tone is on the blue channel. I like to dial it in. Just, I always say bass tone with a responsive, tube amp is gonna be where if you're close to 10 on the volume knob. I like to say I want to be at AC/DC level crunch, right? I tell you, Malcolm would roll in his grave if he heard me play that riff with all that delay and reverb. So that's the bass tone. Use the Bogner Ecstasy Synergy preamp blue channel, but I also have a almost duplicate solid state rig where I just use the Bogner blue pedal to do the same thing, and that's actually what you're hearing now. The good part about it's, okay, we're in that kind of general AC/DC crunch land with the volume knob up, and then I can dial it back and for me, that's clean. Obviously, it's clean with some dirt. But I really like to ride the volume use my dynamics and some I don't have my chorus at the ready, but and then I can bump up. Volume knob on the end. And then modify, whatever dirt I want to throw in. So I was using the Rat earlier. I'm gonna probably start off pretty low on the old volume knob. It's a little more crunchy. That's the Rat. Do the same thing with the SD9. Thicker. Yeah, neither one of those are cleanup pedals. What I use a lot is into the same kind of crunchy Bogner sound is it's a power booster circuit, or the old Color Sound power boost circuit. But this is made by a company, Idiot Box Effects Power Drive. I think they changed it up. It's not a clone. But it gets a little more woody, a little fuzzier. But really good cleanup. With the volume knob way down, and then here's, you can go into fuzz face territory. That's like thick fuzz. And if I want to roll it down, we got a nice woody, very responsive pedal. Yeah, man, Luke, I know he used Bogner's. He may still be using them, for all I know. I think some of Luke's best tones were when he was using Bogner's. I can't remember if he was using Ecstasy or a what's the other one? Is it the Helios? I can't remember. Still uses them. That figures. That's a man that has been able to play whatever he wants since the 80s. Oh, cool. What's I'm not familiar with Rings. Is that like a another project he does? I think we can all say if you find yourself doing something similar to what Luke's doing, you're probably doing something good. You know, I got a dude, I had no idea. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out. The Ringo sounds like he made a super band. I'll definitely check it out just to hear Luke. But I bet everybody that's in the band's probably ridiculous. I got a Japanese FGN guitar. It's kind of a super stratish type deal, and when it came, it had EMGs in it, and I had it in my head I was going to switch them out, and they ended up sounding really good, especially for, you know, I'm not exactly doing vintage tones here, you know, so for what I did, it sounded really good. I wound up looking up what exactly EMGs were in it, and they were the ones that Luke had for years, the 89 humbucker in the bridge and SA something or another, 2 single coils, which man, those Music Man guitars are awesome. There was a guitar shop where I'm from. Sadly, it's closed now, like a lot of the smaller mom and pop shops. And for whatever reason, they were a EMG dealer, or not EMG, a Music Man dealer. And, you know, all those, they had the Steve Morse, the Luke. I don't think I ever saw Albert Lee in there. You know, that was before John Petrucci came along with them. Yeah, that sounds about right. He this was probably early 2000s. What in Ringo's band, are they doing all Beatles stuff, or are they mixing in what kind of material are they doing? That sounds right up my alley. But I was plinking around on something I could afford at the time. And the guy in the guitar store, I guess he knew me from coming in, and yeah, I'd bought several things in there. But he saw me looking at the Music Mans. He's like, dude, play one. And I didn't grab the loot for whatever reason. I ended up, like, I just picked up the one that was closest to me. And it was the Steve Morse. And man, that thing played itself. It was quite the experience for younger me. Huh. I remember, didn't Larry Carlton play those Valley Arts for a while? If I remember correctly, he had a Valley Arts Strat with, hey, lace sensors in it. And there are clips of that era of him playing live. And you really don't think, or I don't anyway, think of Larry as a Strat player. But he sounded really good on that Valley Arts guitar. That's kind of one of the OG custom like Sirs and Tom Andersons are today. Valley Arts was kind of an OG version of that. I didn't know Lee Ritenour played those. How about that? I'm trying to think of who else. But yeah, you're right. There was a time where nobody knew what the hell they were. And you could probably get one used in Guitar Center for, I don't know, maybe less than $1,000. And now everybody's on the old internets and they know. Jay, you had there were guys playing the Valley Arts, and maybe around that same time is kind of when you had the Pensa era Sirs sneaking in, and I think a lot of those session guys were just playing Fenders that they had tricked out by those guys that eventually became their own brand. Huh. So Fryette was at Valley Arts when he started. That's funny. I've been really watching all the stuff on his channel lately because they're releasing that new Deliverance amp. Valley Arts and Les Pauls. I think you could get the job done with that. But yeah, that's really interesting. So Steve Fryette started at Valley Arts. I'd never known that. That Deliverance amp looks really cool. I like the clean stuff I'm hearing out of it. Yeah, the malcontents. He's he is definitely his own person. And you know that attitude he has is why his designs are so cool. He's not trying to retread, make a Marshall variant. He's doing stuff. Yeah, it all has DNA back to something, I know he worked on was it Sound City that kind of had the high watt thing going on, and people have always described his amps as having that really dry gain that you associate with high watts, but he's definitely executed amps and solutions to rack problems and stuff in his own way. Brilliant guy, really, when you think about it. Which is funny. Like since I'm already doing the Synergy stuff, I thought about getting a Deliverance module, but I'm on the fence because it's so different than the Bogner thing. Because Bogners have that natural compression, and they're in the Marshall lineage, kind of known for that low mid natural compression, even a little bit loose, or at least the ecstasies. But I think the Deliverance will be almost the opposite of that. So I don't know how big of a paradigm shift that would be for me. It'd be really good for recording to be able to throw a kind of Bogner sound on the left channel and double it with a Fryette sound. I bet that'd make a hell of a rhythm tone. But yeah, the whole 80s session thing, it's hard not to love. It's hard not to make you want to put together a giant rack. I look at those preamps and that may have been where Bogner first kind of snuck in that world, is with the Fish preamp. When everybody was doing the rack thing, but I actually did build a kind of budget rack. This was about 5 years ago. I got so intrigued by it, and I'm a big Allan Holdsworth fan, so I still have it, the Yamaha DG Stomp, which is digital, but it's a really early kind of amp emulation. It doesn't emulate any particular amps, but it's got several different amp models. That's what we call them now. But they sounded really good, and even though it was early digital, it had a really good response. It would clean up and everything. But the really cool thing about that unit, it came in a rack, it came in the stomp form like I have, which was basically the rack in a pedal form with like three or four switches. It's four, I just looked over at it. But the lead sound you could get in that kind of what we were talking about with the SD9, that liquid lead, smooth, fusiony thing. And it was what Alan was using a lot, at least live. He probably used some of everything recording, but I made that my preamp, and it's got decent delays and reverb, and the chorus is surprisingly good. And it was that was my first adventure with MIDI, and so I was able to set it up where I had all the presets I could want. I used the old Rocktron MIDI Mate. It's the Rocktron. I can't remember. That sounds right. But it's got like 50 buttons on it. It's got more than you ever need. And just because I was really fascinated with Landau and Dan Huff and Luke and all those guys that were doing that during that era, I made a budget rack. It sounded pretty good. I had a solid state power amp that was probably the weak link there, but it sounded good. It was very versatile, but I eventually got the pieces out so I could use them for different things, recording, and I had better options as far as a main rig. I gravitated back toward the pedal board and Bogner thing, and that's really gotten me as close as I've ever been to getting the tones I want. We're always chasing. We're always tweaking, trying to tweak with knobs and other pieces we already have without buying something new. But we usually end up buying something new and adding to it, and you know how we are. But yeah, I think with me, the best gain I can get is to play better. Playing in the bedroom. What am I really doing it for? It's for fun and enjoyment. It's for blowing off steam after having a nice stressful day at work, for me. I don't think there's a band in my near future. I don't have time for it, and I think the easiest thing to put together is always a cover band, and I don't have any desire to do that. I wouldn't mind jamming with people, like on a Saturday or something, just to have that element of having another, playing with other people, you know. I think that makes you better. Especially if you're the weakest player in the room. You're going to get better in that situation. You're told not to come back. There is one other thing I planned on talking about gear-wise. Excuse me, no mute button. See if I can get this to work right. So there we have what Gibson has once again blessed us with, a limited product that costs $10,000. The Jeff Beck Yardbird Tribute Les Paul. Well, I guess in addition to, I'm not buying a $10,000 guitar. Probably wouldn't if I could. But if I think of Jeff Beck, obviously Strat, right? But I have the strong image of him on the cover of Blow by Blow. Playing the old Oxblood Les Paul. And yeah, I've seen pictures of it, and it discussed now that was a Les Paul, the one Gibson just came out with. I guess got kicked around the Yardbirds back in the day, and several of them may have played it, and I guess Jeff ended up with it. But I was not familiar with that Les Paul at all before Gibson came out with this. Now that may be my experience. Somehow I missed out on that, because I'm sure there's plenty of people that were familiar. Oh yeah, Jeff had the whatever finish, black pick guard, no poker chip Les Paul. And I guess maybe Gibson has done the Oxblood thing with Jeff Beck before. Not really sure if it was a Jeff Beck model, but I know they've had runs of the Oxblood Les Paul. really question how much Les Paul Jeff Beck ever really did use. Even on Blow by Blow. I think I've read that he was had a Telecaster variant with humbuckers in it. That was on a lot of that. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's on the cover with the Ox Blood. And that's an iconic image on a iconic album. But I'm not seeing this one, Gibson. I'm sure it'll get bought, all of them, and half the people that get them will have the intention of flipping them and never play them. But man, you know, I've got a picture of me at 14 playing a Gibson SG. It's a 1973 Gibson SG. I know that's Norland era. But that guitar, it does not need to be a relic, because I played the strings off that thing, and most of that early woodshedding that really makes you who you are as a player, that early steep learning curve you go through, I did on that SG. It had a Bigsby on it, still has. I still have it now. That's a never getting rid of guitar. That's my dad's SG that he basically gifted to his son because I started playing guitar. And, you know, I think about that and that Gibson. And that is what it should be about, is a teenager that has a guitar that sounds great, everybody knows is cool because it says Gibson on it, but he can tote it around everywhere with him and play whatever he needs to play without it being a museum piece. That's what Gibson is, or was, to me. And I joke around that after the whole Play Authentic thing, that I was mad at Gibson. It really did kind of turn me off. And I'm not into all these super duper limited releases. I just don't see what, you know, I don't see what good it does. It's not. It's making antique furniture. It's not, or fake antique furniture. It's not making what Gibson was to that 14-year-old me. But somebody's buying them. I guess as long as they do, they'll keep making them. And since they're limited, they're probably a great investment. What did they do to the Firebird? Did they make it sparkle purple or something? I hadn't looked at that yet. That's actually a guitar I've never played. Never had the chance. Well, I guess I, could have played one at Guitar Center or something. But I've seen Bonamassa a couple times. I think he played a Firebird both times. Sounded great. And I don't want to sound like doom and gloom. Oh, I'm knocking Gibson, even though I guess I am. But I can understand a guy wanting a R9. I can understand that. That's your chance to get as close as you can to the Holy Grail, the burst. And I could see a guy that with disposable income wanting that, I have zero problems with that. I'll never buy one. I've got my Gibsons that I still play, 2005 Les Paul Standard. And the first Gibson I ever bought myself was when they first started doing the faded thing. I got a double cut Les Paul Special with P90s in it. And man, that guitar is a player. It's it's got the faded finish. It's nothing, it's not a piece of furniture you need to worry about. And I've never treated it as such. It's been played. It's not a case queen. I was actually playing it the other night when I was trying to improve on my YouTube recording noise issues. What better guitar to do that with than a Les Paul Special with P90s in it? Jesus Christ, you want to talk about a hum. And I was, revisiting what a great guitar it was, but needs a truss rod adjustment. And I meant to do that this weekend, but it's fretting out a little bit on bends. I just did the old eyeball, and it's got a pretty good little bow in it. So I think if I just straighten it out with a quarter turn, maybe half a turn, it'll be right where it needs to be. Yeah, man, P90s, they really are. They're just, they're fire breathers. I don't know if what I'm hearing a lot of the times it's like they have a natural, really pronounced, pleasant mid-frequency spectrum. And, they just pop. They pop live. They pop in a recording. That's one of my favorite guitars to add. When I say recording, I'm just making stuff at the house to try to get better at it, really, for fun. But if I want to add a guitar color that's going to be different, that doesn't have to be so loud, it's going to saturate the mix too much, but that is going to be heard still, you cannot go wrong with that, with the P90s, man. And you know, that's really a guitar you could do a whole gig with. Like, you could keep you know, the way Gibsons are set up with a 3-way, you could keep your volume down on the neck P90, which it's going to be plenty bright enough to do anything clean. And then just have the bridge pickup turned up, and you wouldn't even have to change a setting or mash a pedal or anything. You just switch pickups, and that's your boosted lead tone, or whatever you want to call it. A P90 equipped guitar is something I think anybody will get off the Jeff Beck guitar I don't like. But a P90 equipped guitar is something I think everybody could benefit from. Especially if you're doing any recording, or I wish it wasn't so noisy. But, you know, that's rock and roll, right? I was watching Jared Nichols, speaking of great Les Paul players that seem to have a love for P90s. And of course, what a great player. And man, his sounds thick as grits with eggs in it. And he's playing Black Stars, which, going back to our discussion earlier, on one particular video I saw, he was using Black Stars dialed in with a crunch, kind of like I was talking about. And his dirt were multiple tube screamers. And he had the tone knob turned all the way or almost all the way down. And he kept one on pretty much all the time. And used the other one as like a solo boost or whatever. But, yep, that's what he was using. I think he's used a Klon quite a bit. But he sounded great. I was like, that's actually why I watched the video. I wanted to see, I was thinking he was going to be running through some kind of vintage, maybe tone bender clone or something, because his P90s were sounding so thick. No, he was just doing tube screamers into a crunchy Black Star amp. And Black Stars certainly aren't Bogners. I've never played one of their tube amps, so I'm not going to knock them. I've got a practice amp that's a Black Star little digital amp that I keep in the living room. But that's the only Black Star I've ever played on. But Jared makes them sound like as good as anything. And of course, it's the player, you know. He's playing vintage Gibsons with P90s mostly. I think he had one. Somebody had let him borrow a real Burst. I'm wanting to say it was a 59. It could have been a 60, but you know, it was a very obvious Burst, and so it had humbuckers. But to me, he sounded better on the Les Pauls he had with the P90s. The other one sounded great, but he sounded the best on those. It was just a rig rundown. I think they've done a couple with him, rig rundowns, but you know, I think we dive so deep into the minutia of gear sometimes because it's fun, and you know, you don't want to say, oh, I'm not getting it because of me and my playing. But really, when it comes down to it, we all know that's the secret sauce is the player. So, but man, it doesn't make firing up a Les Paul or a Gibson with P90s in it any less fun. Well, brother, I really appreciate you sticking in the stream with me. I've had fun shooting the Gear Breeze with you. I try to stream every weekend, and you know, I for the most part do. But really, I'm kind of just starting out. I'm really doing it to learn and get better at it. So thank you for hanging out and talking some cool guitar stuff. I can tell you you travel in the same circle as me as far as chasing the gear dragon. And we may not have everything, but we've checked everything out and we've read about it. Sometimes I'll throw on backing tracks that I make and do a little jam over them. I didn't do that today. With this new, hopefully less noisy setup I have, I'm still working out how the best way to execute backing tracks are going to be. And I like to make new ones. I don't like just using the same ones. And you know, I could pull one off YouTube that somebody else made, and I think I've done that before, but it's part of the fun. You know, I get a lot of good practice out of making them. There's not much better work for your rhythm than trying to lay down bass that is passable. That's fun. So I'm gonna pop off and try to enjoy the little bit of Saturday that's left. And hey, thank you. Graphite and cigar. I like it. Thank you for hanging with me, man. Great conversation. And I think my email is listed on my page, so anything we talked about, don't hesitate to drop me a line. I definitely don't know everything, and I'm trying to get better at playing, just like the rest of us. But I love talking gear, and if there's a road I've traveled gear wise that somebody else is about to embark on, occasionally I can be of help. So anyway, have a good 4th of July, everybody, and definitely Graphite and Cigars. Have a happy 4th, man. And thanks again for stopping in. And I'll try to see if I can come up with some videos this week that will be of interest to anybody. So thanks for doing the stream thing with me. And I'm Guitar Vacation. And you enjoy your own guitar vacation.